Welcome back. We're going to go to line number 4 and speak to Jim Learning. Mr. Learning, I know you were trying to get on yesterday. We ran out of time. I appreciate you calling back. And I did hear most of your conversation with Patty this morning about Crown land.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So we're continuing that conversation?
Sure. Actually, it is again that we're complaining, or at least I'm complaining about how we're on the outer circle. Problem is, with the Crown land thing, they've made a new rule. They had some consultations the other day, and they've made a new rule around settlers, squatters,
mm-hmm.
and they refer to us as squatters at some point. A term I'd like to see gone, because people in Labrador weren't squatters. They were homesteaders, if you want to go back to that terminology, but not squatters. It seems like some kind of a weird way to demean us, actually.
Yeah, I agree. There should be a distinction between what that term generally denotes and what you're talking about in Labrador, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a discriminatory term as far as I'm concerned, and definitely put there to demean us for some reason or other. But the problem is now they've got a new wrinkle in the Crown land thing. That is that no rivers in Labrador will be allowed to have cabins on them. No more applications will be accepted for cabins on rivers.
So only those that exist will be grandfathered in, and no further applications or proposals will be acceptable.
I suppose. I haven't read the actual edict around it, but I would say that's the way it would go. Well, I happen to be in the process trying to get my place approved and been there for a long time, but that's mostly my fault because I've let it ride and slide. But in any case, I'm not going back. I'm not to stay away from the term squatter. I'm going back to the old homestead, and I've put a place there. I have, and I'm going to carry on with it.
How long has your place been there?
I put that there about 18 years ago.
And is it something you use all the time, or is it a seasonal?
It's not finished. I'm there every so often.
Right.
I'm still working at it, but life just gets in the way. So I don't exactly have time to follow through.
Right.
And I don't have a cabin as such. I don't. That's not what I would look to ever have, a cabin. That would be my home.
Right.
So it's a different situation. But the point is, what I'm really trying to say is they pick and choose how they're going to deal with us out here. Like, I don't know if you remember years ago, they put a freeze on the Eagle River because it's the Eagle. That seems like a primary salmon river. It is anyway, but they put a freeze on it. Yeah, a couple of our people were trying to get permits, and they weren't able to get them. But in the meantime, the Goodridge Hudson sails in there with a permit and all good to go, and proceeded to build her place. Well, we interrupted her that time when we NCC. The two of it, and we held them up for a week. We took the helicopter, wouldn't let them have it. They flew in 50 RCMP officers and into Cartwright to confront us, and an icebreaker. It was quite a carry-on. At the end of that all shook down. They gave the two boys, two of our people, who were wanting fish licenses on the Eagle River, and all was good. Hudson put up her place, and the boys got their permission. So it's like we really have to do weird things to get any kind of approval. They definitely.
If I can I just ask if there was any offer of information as to why there was a difference for that particular project? Was there something different about it that they could justify it going ahead when others were refused?
Well, this is something that we'll never be able to prove, or we always have a feeling, and have the feeling that it was a preferential thing. In other words, we're not being dealt with fairly.
Right. But they didn't say that this is the basis upon which that we approve this one and refuse the others.
No, absolutely not. They never would acknowledge that. And to me, that is the hole that they've left there. They just sort of tell us whether we could have it or not. In other words, we come in behind everybody else. It's an issue of fairness.
Do you think there might be something discoverable through the new Access to Information Act?
Oh, there might be. There might, I didn't think to go that. I would never go that way because that's a lot of. Well, I shouldn't say it's a lot of trouble. I'm just not a good researcher, and I wouldn't don't do that. But no, treat us fairly. Don't have us running around like that and waiting in a line and hoping, and then just watch other people coming ahead of us. This is the oldest story in the book for Labrador, or treat it. We do have a legitimate complaint about this, as we've seen in that case. So we really need them to clean up their act and treat us fairly.
Right.
We know that more than likely they want people off. They don't want any more people on the rivers, because we know for certain, it's a fact, they have a big old thick book out on it from Crown Lands, that they're definitely going to someday develop those rivers from everything south of the Kinnamoo. All of the rivers south of Kinnamoo have a possibility of being developed. So if there's no people in these places to deal with, it makes it easier for them to do what they want to do.
Right.
That's my sense of it. But that's just a guess. I don't know for a fact. But
are all of the people who already have established and recorded or permitted, cabins or places of any description on the river, are they all guaranteed safe to keep them?
Yes, they are. They're pretty much they're leaving that alone. Just somebody like myself who comes in later we're going to get a rough time.
Right. And there's no appeal for saying that you've put this into the works a long time ago before the judgment on it got so harsh.
No, I don't think so, because I think it's all arbitrary, and they'll just do what they want to do, and they'll simply just outlive me.
And you see different rules for Labrador than you do on the island.
Well, I say that is the way to treat it. I can't compare the island because I don't know. But
right.
I do have a sense that around the Eagle and the White Bear is always considered a favorite area, so they definitely make us get behind and don't tend us very well that way.
Well, maybe it's just a case of who you know again, and less about it being Labrador. It's a matter of picking a place where the potential for the future is still there, where it may not be on other provincial rivers on the island, and saying that whatever's left, we're going to put a clamp on it so that down the road we can decide exactly what's and it has the best value or the most gain for the province.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the suspect thing. To try to prove it, that's something else. But too, don't forget that area that we're in there is now a national park, or about to be declared a national park. So there's rules around that. But what they've done there is they've turned all of the people who own cabins or the little community there, Stovebrook and American Point and Bob's and Joyce and all of those, they've been turned into enclaves by simply having them surveyed out of the park. So you're sitting on the edge of the park, you're not actually in it. But all that said, they have made it a point to, as a policy, to say that traditional land users there could carry on all traditional activities as have been done. So there's that going on as well. There's a bit of a complication there. That would be the federal government. That's not the provincial government. The provincial Crown Lands steps in and says, nope, you can't do anything on a river because we're not going to let you. So that's what we're dealing with. No, I feel it's a double standard.
Well, they've told you no before, and things have changed around. I give you the Labrador Flag now being, flown at both entrances to Quebec. So it's not that things can't change if you stick to your guns.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing, too. I think to really make this change, we put that flag up with the intent of letting everybody know who we are and where we were. And I think that was a kind of a pivotal action, really. And so coming along behind that, what we need to do is turn the term Newfoundland and Labrador, make Labrador a partner instead of being just a dangling name on the end of Newfoundland and Labrador, without the proper representation, without the proper respect. I think it's time to demand a little respect, make us partners.
Well, actually, if you look at the logo now, or all of the representations that you see in advertising and whatnot, it says Newfoundland and Labrador. The and is gone.
Yes, it is, but the attitude remains the same. I think the idea is that I get a sense that the island government, still thinks it owns this territory, and then they slip and say that from time to time. We need to make our presence felt and say we're no longer going to be owned. We're partners in this now. I know we have a small population, and I know that don't count for much on voting day, so we need to find some way to get around that, to make our presence felt, even though we're a small group.
All right, sir. Listen, I appreciate your time today. I know we'll talk again and look forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
All the best. Bye-bye.